Moses was God's chosen man. He was tasked to lead God's people. They had finally left Egypt's cruel land behind. Freedom was the song their hearts longed to sing. Yet the desert stretched before them, vast and unforgiving. The way forward was incredibly hard. Moses carried the heavy weight of their hopes. He felt the immense burden of it all every single day. He knew they looked to him and he looked to God. They journeyed for many long days now. Thick dust caked their skin and their worn clothes. Their tired feet ached with every single step they took. But the beautiful dream of a promised land pulled them onward. They were a community of tired but determined souls. Hope was a fragile, precious thing in the wilderness. They clung to it tightly with all their might. Each sunrise brought renewed resolve and renewed weariness. Then a terrible, unmistakable sound reached their ears. The distant thunder of many hooves grew louder and louder. A great cloud of dust rose menacingly on the horizon. Pharaoh's mighty army was coming for them. Chariots and soldiers, their hearts filled with vengeful rage. They were coming incredibly fast, closing the distance. Escape seemed utterly impossible for the fleeing Israelites. Panic began to ripple through the weary crowd. Fear spread like a consuming wildfire among the people. Before them lay the vast expanse of the Red Sea. Its deep waters were wide and seemingly impassable. Behind them, the vengeful Egyptians closed in with chilling speed. There was truly nowhere left for them to run this time. They were trapped, utterly and completely trapped. Cries of profound despair and terror filled the air. Their brief taste of freedom felt like a cruel trick now. The people turned on Moses then, their faces pale. "Why did you bring us out here to die in this wilderness?" Their voices were sharp, edged with pure terror and anger. Was it better to serve as slaves back in Egypt? Their fragile faith was so small in that moment. Their consuming fear was very, very big indeed. They remembered the sting of the cruel taskmaster's whips. They forgot the awesome power of their delivering God. Moses listened to their bitter, accusing words. His own heart must have ached with deep sorrow. But he stood firm and resolute before them all. He lifted his weary eyes to the heavens for divine help. He knew with certainty God had not forgotten them. His unwavering faith was their only true shield now. He would not let that precious faith break under pressure. He had to be strong for them, even as fear threatened. God spoke to Moses, his voice clear and strong. "Do not be afraid now, my servant Moses," he said. "Tell my beloved people to go forward." Forward? How could they go forward into the churning sea? Then God gave the incredible instruction, "Raise your staff high, stretch out your steady hand over the deep water. I myself will divide it for you and for them." The command was bold, almost unbelievable. A truly strange and wondrous thing happened next. The tall, guiding pillar of cloud began to move. It had faithfully guided them by day with its presence. Now it went behind them, a protective barrier. It stood directly between them and the pursuing Egyptians. Thick darkness fell upon their startled enemies, but a soft, guiding light shone brightly on Israel's path. It was a small, comforting sign of the great wonder to come. Moses walked with purpose to the very edge of the sea. The wind began to blow with a sudden fierce strength. He held his wooden staff up high above his head, just as God Almighty had commanded him to do. He stretched his weathered hand out wide over the waters. The people watched him, their hearts pounding in their chests. They held their breath, waiting in stunned, silent anticipation. What amazing thing would happen next before their eyes, all through that long, dark and anxious night? A powerful east wind blew with unrelenting fierceness. The deep waters of the vast Red Sea churned and roared. Then they slowly began to move in an unnatural way, not just pushed back by the force of the wind. No, this was something much more, something truly amazing. The mighty sea was actually splitting in two before them. A divine intervention was unfolding. The waters piled up high on each side of them. Like giant, shimmering, see-through walls, they stood tall. The muddy seabed appeared beneath where the waters had been. It was miraculously becoming firm, dry land. A wide, clear path was forming there for them, right through the very heart of the deep, dangerous sea. It was a breathtaking miracle taking visible shape. The power of God was on full display for all. What a truly wondrous and awesome sight it was. Towering walls of water, coloured green and deep blue. Fish and other sea creatures swam inside those clear walls, held back only by God's invisible, all-powerful hand. A pathway of hope shone brightly before their tired eyes. A safe road made of pure, unexpected hope and deliverance. Salvation was dramatically carved through the impossible deep. It was a sight they would never, ever forget. Go now! Moses urged his astonished people forward. They looked with wide eyes at the strange dry path. They stared in disbelief at the towering water walls. Some were understandably afraid to take that first step out. But Moses, full of faith, showed them the way. Slowly, hesitantly, they started to move onto the seabed. Trusting in God's power, they walked forward into the unknown. One by one, they entered the passage of salvation. Men, women, and little children, a whole nation. Their animals walked quietly beside them on the dry ground. They walked on firm, dry ground now, right through the sea. Between those towering, awesome walls of living water, they could clearly see the sea creatures swimming calmly, suspended as if in liquid glass on either side. Profound awe filled their previously fearful hearts now. Immense relief washed over their weary souls like a balm. The very last Israelites stepped safely onto the far shore, safe at last from their relentless, cruel foes. Then Pharaoh's proud army charged recklessly into the sea path. Into that same miraculous passage they rode with arrogance. Moses, at God's command, stretched out his hand once more. The mighty walls of water crashed down with a deafening roar. The sea returned to its place, claiming its own. The proud and pursuing Egyptian army was gone forever. On the other side, safe on the shore, they watched. They saw God's mighty power and his perfect justice. Their dreaded enemies were no more, swallowed by the sea. Tears of overwhelming joy streamed down their faces. Spontaneous songs of heartfelt praise rose to the heavens. Their God was a faithful God, a God of miracles. He had saved them from certain death and destruction. Their faith, tested by fire and by water, was now rock solid.